Don't you see? Don't you see? We just uncovered a $2 million error. We're going to be heroes. We're going up the corporate ladder. It appears as if somebody's trying to defraud the company.
Somebody tried to smoke it past the wrong guy.
Very, very good work. How would you two like to come to my house at the beach?
Love to!
For Marc and Shawn,
How are you? Hey!
this is a place to die for.
You have to kill them.
ML.
I'm a little rusty, but it'll come back to me.
What? Should we just walk in?
But what they don't realize
No, we'll stand out here all weekend. Come on, we're house guests.
is while they're checking in, Bernie Smilovitz will be checking out.
You asked interrogative questions around my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on. That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You are qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Elric?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric, joined this week by my very young and dynamic pal, Bernie Smilovitz, and Marc and Shawn are here too, but that's more of a contractual thing. We really didn't have much choice there. So, Bernie, great to see you. You probably heard the Weekend at Bernie's. There's a movie about this that they made some time ago. You're familiar with it?
I've heard of it.
You
yes.
haven't? Yeah.
I have, yes.
Have you ever seen the whole thing?
I have, yes. I find it to be, it was worthy to steal from, I would say that.
You may have stole the best
Well,
part.
I told you, yeah, the title, absolutely.
Well, I was watching.
By the way, thank you for inviting me. Great to be here. Shawn, nice to see you. ML, nice to see you. I watch that
Not
on
Mark.
talk shows.
Not Mark.
And Mark, I'm sorry. I say that on talk shows, and I feel, they're really nice. They're like greeting the hosts, and then they come in and they get their nuts cut off. So it's kind of fun.
Well, this isn't The View. Although if you are a Patreon subscriber,
Let's not
you
be
can
so
watch
sure.
us for $5. Well, who's the whoopee? That's what I want to know.
Shawn?
I guess so.
Yeah, mainly because of the similarity in hairdos.
Yeah, I think
Don'ts.
that's right.
But I'm happy to be the.
Sean is as electric as ever.
Yeah.
I'm retired. I'm not getting in any trouble. Screw that.
I'll wait till later in the
when
show.
I was working for it, sure, but now, no.
Yeah, there's no morals clause here.
No,
You're
exactly.
safe. You
Right,
can
exactly.
say and do whatever you want.
Correct.
But I was so we did the Weekend at Bernie's intro, and I started, like many people, getting stuck in these YouTube rabbit holes. And Andrew McCarthy, who was one of the stars of it and a member of the Brat Pack, was talking about all his favorite movies, and he was in St. Elmo's Fire and Less Than Zero and Mannequin, which is maybe the worst movie ever made, except he got to ride around on a motorcycle with Kim Cattrall hanging on to him. But and we don't know what she was doing with her hands.
Is she from the with
Sex and the City?
Sex and the City. She's the one that won't go back to do the show, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just remember her from Porky's.
They did she did a movie.
We are really
she
going
wouldn't
down
do
with
the
the
movie.
classics today, aren't we?
Oh yeah, breaking it out. Okay, continue. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No, that's okay. And so he did some movies, some of which were okay. And he said his favorite movie was Weekend at Bernie's. And I thought, really? Wow. I mean, he was in Pretty in Pink and a bunch of other things.
I mean, he got to film on the beach.
I guess so. Yeah. I've only seen the previews to get this ready. And of course, in my brief period at Channel 4, I would hear the music when they were getting ready, when the producer was putting together the Weekend at Bernie bits for Bernie's show, which, you know, if you don't know who we're talking about, you clearly just got into town, or maybe you're working remotely from Florida, because people can do that now. But Bernie Smilovitz is a local. It didn't take long.
How long did that take?
Did that take long?
I know. I'm sitting here wondering, hey, Bernie, did ML used to stop you to talk about inane things in the hallway at Channel 4?
Oh, that ML, yes, it was, yes.
Yeah.
I got him confused with the other MLs that were there, yeah.
I was there so briefly. Bernie's like, you were there? Yeah.
Wait, you've left?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were gone.
Yeah. No, well, I didn't leave so much as was escorted out.
Oh, you were?
Well, I was invited.
You were a bad boy. Were you a bad boy?
I was invited to take my talents elsewhere. No, it was my option was up, and they were looking to save a lot of money.
Oh,
which is how I was surprised they came to me, because I wasn't making a lot of money.
Didn't you love TV?
Well, you know, it was. The first couple months I loved it, and then get the bell ready. Then the mayor sent a bunch of people over to meet with the GM, and after
that's
that,
right.
I didn't love it so much.
Oh, I do recall that. Was that Kwame?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He and Mr. Wasserman had a meeting that I wasn't privy to until many, many months later. And then I said, oh, that's why none of my stories are getting on the air.
Yeah. That's funny how that happens. Yeah.
Well, it's funny wasn't the adjective that I remember at the
Probably
time,
not.
but it worked out great for me. And Bernie, as you know, recovered very quickly from the loss of a beloved colleague. Just somehow stuck it out under protest for another 20 years.
Honestly, I lasted after Carmen left, so don't worry about that.
Oh, yeah.
right.
God. Well, that's like at Fox, too. I thought, well, when Huell and Monica are gone,
Yeah.
everybody better start packing up because the gravy train is about to get derailed. But they seem to still be doing well, and Channel 4 is still doing well, although without a lot of people that I don't want to say grew up watching.
Wait, 32 of 35 people took the buyout.
Wow.
Now, I wouldn't give the names. 3 people didn't take it. 2 of them I said, why didn't you take the buyout? And they said, I hate my wife. I don't want to be home. so they're coming to work.
Boy, hey, Devin, you may be the third one. You're the third one.
Hello.
He's in Paris. He's not listening anyway. He's having a baguette with Tim Pamplin. Although Tim did take the buyout.
Tim took it.
How's at WWJ?
He's got a new job. Yeah.
Yeah. The word is that Devin took it, and he'll be out after the election.
Really?
Sort of held up the boat
Okay.
for a while here.
Wow. Well, you guys are still got a lot of energy, a lot of passion
Yeah.
for what you do.
Yeah.
How do you make that transition? What are you thinking about now?
Not much. I have found that after 45 years of working about everything every day, crews, editing, story ideas, on and on, interviews, whatever had to be done, that to wake up that first day and go, oh, okay, what do I got to do? Wait, nothing?
Yeah.
Nothing at all? So the second day I played golf because the first day I did nothing. I just sat there like a lump going, well, okay, what else do I do? But then I've started to find things along the way. So I'll make a decision here or two and see what I want to do next.
Have you paid attention to sports at all? Or is it like, I don't want to see any highlight. I don't want to see any sports. I just want to break from sports.
I have not watched the news show since I left, which was 5 weeks ago, for no reason other than I'm now going to bed at 10 o'clock instead of 12:30 or 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning. And really for no reason, just hasn't worked out. I've been playing golf or I've been dinner with friends or whatever it might be. So that had nothing to do with it. I still follow sports. I mean, I root for the teams that are here and everything. And I will say this here, and I've said this before, and I'll say it every day until February when they play the game. The Lions are going to play in the Super Bowl, and they're going to win the Super Bowl. And the reason I say that is they talk about it every day. And for the first time, I heard Campbell talk, and he says, I encourage that. I want us to think that way every day. Normally, a coach would say, oh, no, don't jinx us. Oh, please don't say anything about it. Campbell's exactly the opposite. So whatever he's doing, I'm all in favor of.
Well, he's a fascinating guy because he said right after the game, and I thought this was one of the bravest things a coach has ever said, is like, I know you're hurting, and I know we want to try for it again, but this may be as close as you ever get. I'm like, that's what you tell guys who are, in the pits. But I think he knows that he can bring these guys up and he can move them along, and that he's the maestro.
Yep. You were in the press box 24/7 at halftime, and everybody's like, okay, let me get a rent-a-car for Vegas. Let me, where's my hotel room and stuff and everything like that. If he kicks that field goal midway through the third quarter,
Yeah.
that's a 3-possession lead.
And they make it.
Huh?
And they make it.
And they make it. But if you do it and they make it, that's a 3-possession lead. If you're running the ball well, you may not get the ball back 3 times if the offensive line is grinding big.
No, for sure. Let me ask you, though, speaking of Campbell, because you've been in this market a long, long time, have you seen anybody quite like him?
Wayne Fonts, no question.
Big buck.
No question. No, they hit on the right one here. This is the ball game right here. And that's always been the screw up there, is they've hired their friends, they've hired people and put them in positions of authority that didn't work out, that didn't know what they were doing, and it just kept going on and on and on. And finally, they hit on this one. They hit on both. I mean, because he's, Holmes bringing in the talent and Campbell's coaching it. And everybody buys into Campbell because all those players love playing for a former player. Because if they got a problem, they go and say something to him, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that happened to me in Dallas. That happened to me in Detroit. And everybody feels like a father figure is there who takes care of them.
So people who listen to this show know that I'm a Lions skeptic, and a lot of people talk about the Bobby Lane, as you wish. People
Flat
talk
out
about
hater.
the Bobby Lane curse, and this predates you, Bernie, but I think what's plagued the Lions is the Joe Schmidt curse, because they had a chance when Joe Schmidt was the coach to make him the GM and keep him here, and instead they did exactly what you said. They went with some friends, a William Clay Ford, and then it became sort of a club, but it wasn't a successful club, and they stayed with that for years. And they went with Matt Millen again when everybody knew that was a mistake, presumably.
The second contract,
because Senior liked him so much.
Right.
And
That was the problem, was the second contract. First contract you kind of understood because they knew him. He studied. He was great as a color analyst.
He was.
And he watched video
Great
all
player.
day long. Great
Played
player.
on winning teams.
Played on a winning team, exactly right. Went to Penn State. Come on, not bad.
Didn't like Joe Paterno when he went to Penn State, so his judgment was great.
Mowed his own grass.
But did like Joe Paterno once Joe Paterno got in trouble.
That's right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
He defended him more than anything.
And by the way, Shawn, he worked remotely. He never moved from Pennsylvania. He ran the Lions. Exhibit B, and you got to be here. Sorry.
So Bernie has no idea what you're referencing.
Yeah, no. We'll move on. But Bernie was on a roll. Sorry.
Maybe now he's
Millen,
not.
second
I'm
contract.
sorry.
That's
What
a
did that
good
wall
hosting.
feel?
Good
I just hit
hosting
that
there.
wall.
Yeah, good.
So
Way to get the momentum.
Boom.
before you went there, we had a dynamic debate about whether you can be as effective working remotely if you have a job.
I worked for a year and a half from home during COVID. They put a
Sure.
live view in my house, and my wife she technically knew all this stuff because she was a former TV producer, so she knew everything. And every day when there was a screw up, she would just go up, fix it. Most of the time it was like, just plug the damn machine in. Okay, I'll remember that next time. But so I did it for a year and a half. It was great because instead of commuting 25 or 30 minutes from downtown, I was commuting 25 or 30 seconds to the bedroom.
But you were in Michigan, not in Alabama or New Jersey or New Mexico. I mean, you were still connected to the community. You
Right,
still
but
knew what was going on out here.
everybody had COVID though. So you didn't want to leave the house.
The socializing was not a priority at that
My son calls me from New York. They had just had a baby, and they were in their apartment for 10 straight weeks when COVID began.
With a
10
baby?
straight weeks with a baby.
And all those diapers?
Everything.
Hey.
And they would only go up to the roof of their apartment in Manhattan. It was in Brooklyn. And that they would get air. And if anybody else was up there, they'd race back down to their apartment going, because nobody knew what the story was, right? Exactly. So one day we get a phone call and he says, hey, listen, we've been here for 10 weeks. We don't know what to do. I can work remotely. Would you mind if we came home? And I said, hold on a second. And I covered the phone and I went, you're not going to believe this. Jake wants to bring the baby home with Laura. Oh my God, I think this is the lottery winner we've been looking for. Sure, go ahead. Yeah, that sounds great, Jake. When are you coming? It says 10 days. And in 10 days, we got a nursery together and we got a room together for them. And they stayed for about a year and a half.
Oh, bonus time.
Bonus time. Yeah, it was great.
Bonus time.
Yeah, it was great. I'll tell you, when they left, I looked, my wife looked at me and she goes, now what? And I go, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to each other.
Yes,
now.
exactly.
Jeez. Or you guys could adopt, maybe a foster kid.
Next subject. No,
you got a 14-year-old who's troubled, someone who can get into cars without keys. That should keep life spicy.
Well, once the kids say they're off the payroll, that's when life begins again,
When does that happen? I got some that are 24 and 25. They're actually vesting in our pension system.
You mean the podcast pension system?
And they're going to be sorely disappointed. That'll teach them.
My kids, knock on wood, have been great kids. Knock on wood, just great. And one is having a fourth child in 2 weeks. And I'm going to help whatever they need. So I'm going to go for a week to see what happens.
Well, speaking of your boys, saw them on your send-off at Channel 4, which, by the way, really well done.
Thanks.
Like, it moved, and it was funny, and it was sentimental. I mean, it just had a lot of pieces together.
Did Eli produce this one, too?
What? What's that?
A send-off, because he was the Channel 4 documentarian for a while, remember?
Oh, that's right. No, Bernie wrote it himself and did it at the end of the last newscast, and Carmen came out. But the part that made me laugh, and I didn't know how to read into it, was when you turned to the camera and said, I'm Bernie Smilovitz for Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'm Bernie Smilovitz for Gardner White, because, Carmen, I think, does ads now, and Chuck, of course, did. And I was like, wow, is that really what Bernie's plan is going to be? Is he going to be like Mort and all these people?
I'm not doing anything while the summer's going on. I realize it makes no sense. when it sucks here in the winter, go in and, find something to do. But man, in the summer, this is the place to be, and the spring and the fall. So yeah, I'm not doing anything till
that was a really funny part. And then you were talking about doing the highlights and Bernie's bloopers. I mean, everybody knows I grew up here, so everybody remembers Bernie's bloopers. And it hit me. It's like, I don't know where we came up with that or got that idea to show like a squirrel water skiing or whatever, but it's kind of like the first viral videos that you see on Twitter or Facebook or wherever.
Yeah. So I came here from Washington, D.C., and the guy who hired me was a guy named Jim Snyder, who's passed on, but he was the godfather of local news, and he called me to his house, and I was working on a local station there, and I had never worked in a opposite network affiliates. This was an independent at 10 o'clock, but it was my first TV job out of the University of Maryland, or as I like to call it here when people say, where did you go to school? I go, U of M. Yeah. And they go, oh, really? Ann Arbor campus? I go, no, College Park campus. What is wrong with you? Come on. So he said to me, if you go there, I just want you to do what you're doing. Don't change. You're going to change the whole feel of sports when you go there and do it the way you're doing it. Because in the old days, there were scoreboards, there was music, there were highlights with music, there was this and that. And, that I always had my opinion was just give them a product, give them something they can. If you're having a great time doing what you're doing, then people watching you will, and they'll keep coming back. And that was always, and don't leave anyone out. Women were as important as anything in what I did because I felt many times they were left out of sportscasts that were local sportscasts or national sportscasts, but I thought they control a lot in a house. I mean, they really do, especially the remote. So, you're getting the hook if she doesn't like you, but it worked out pretty good.
What year was that when you came here?
86. I got a wonderful, a quick story. Do you have time? But anyway,
to keep Mike
Actually, we've got to take a break for Gardner White. Bernie, anything you want to say about their mattress specials?
So that's Carmen's gig. I don't want to steal that. I came here and it was tough. I mean, the first 3 or 4 months, I got skewered by.
Who were you against when you got here? Do you remember?
Fred McLeod was at Channel 2, and Steve Garagiola was at Channel 7. And I came here with my wife, and we went to dinner. We went to the London Chop House, I remember, and they said, we couldn't get table 1. We could only get table 2. And I go, well, I'm out of here. Fuck that. If I'm not coming here for table 1, I'm out. Well, it so happens Bill Bonds had a group there that night, so he was at table 1, so we were at 2. We went back and watched the shows and we looked at each other. And it was one of those horrible February winter days here where it wasn't snowing, but it was kind of snowing. It was freezing and it was really freezing. And there was, it was raining and freezing. It was just awful. It was just an awful day. But we kind of thought maybe we could do this here. So we decided to do it.
Can you imagine Bill Bonds in the era of cell phone cameras? How many videos Bonzo would have been in?
Oh my God. I actually had a friendship with him after he was done at 7. I used to do a golf tournament for Gleaners, and he was just terrific. I mean, he was great. And one point he said to me, I've always regretted that you and I didn't work together. And I thought to myself in my own head, God, that would have been a short career for me.
Well, how do you hold back with him? I mean, he would set you up for so many fatal lines.
Yeah,
you just step into it. You're like,
exactly.
But Bonds, and say, sorry, Bonds stays, you got to go.
No, but he was great. He was really great, and he helped the charity and everything like that. So there's a lot people don't know about Bill.
Yeah,
he was terrific.
I would run into him at various journalism events and charitable things, and he was always very gracious, very very self-deprecating. Yeah. And at one point, he'd actually tip his toupee to people.
I can't believe you told that. I cannot believe you told that story because what's his name? Bob, the starter at Oakland Hills, calls me and says, "Can you do our caddy banquet? We want to give Steve Eiserman an award." And there's be about 300 or 400 kids there, people there with parents and all kind of stuff. I said, okay. And he said, so yeah, sure. So we go up, I give him an award, we talk a little bit, and then we take questions. And my hand to God, about halfway back, a guy raises his hand, and it's Bonds. And he stands up and he goes, "What do you think about Donovan McNabb being taken off the broadcast? And why does this happen?" And blah, 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 blah. And I say, "You have a forum for that? Or have you spoken about that?" And he stands up and he goes, "Nah, they're all so full of shit." And he goes, and I go, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." And speaking of full of shit, he grabs the toupee and just wheels it around his head like that. And there's 400 people looking, going, "Holy shit, what am I looking at?" Every time I see Steve Eiserman, that's the first thing we talk about. Do you believe we actually were there and saw that? Yeah, it was Bonds.
Yeah, no, he was.
He was something else.
Quite a character.
Yeah.
Now, you ended up working with Fred and Joe both at Channel 4 before all this.
I worked with Steve. I'm not that old.
Sorry, Steve.
Joe's the father. Yeah. Fred left Channel 2, and I went to the news director, and I said, "We should get Fred here. Fred's terrific. He's great at doing highlights. He's perfect for a weekend. You don't have to do shtick. You don't have to. Weekend, it's all there, all the games and everything like that." So he came and he worked. He was great. Steve came. He was doing news at that point. Yeah. So and he was terrific too.
Great storyteller. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was the 5-tool player. Any assignment they put him on,
exactly right.
You could sort of see the look on his face as he was like, "I can't believe I'm going to do this." Then you'd see him out. He's like, he's nailing it. He's killing it.
Yeah.
He was a great.
His daughter's a kind of I guess an executive producer in the newsroom. She's just great. Yeah, Megan.
But he was just in terms of colleague, great guy, very generous, very thoughtful, no ego, and was just a terrific guy and talented as they are.
Very good, really great.
Bernie, when did you start to feel the connection with the folks here?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks. No, that you were starting to you know what I mean, take off a little bit.
So this is kind of a wild. I'm going to tell this story. I've never told it, but so I used to do the Tigers pregame show, and it was a pretty hot commodity. And to me, it was like, I just want to have fun on this thing. I don't want to. So I say, well, why don't we do a thing like a round table? And they go, what's that? I said, we bring 3 guys in, 3 journalists, have them come in, and we'll talk Tigers. Last 10 minutes of the show. You don't have to run out with crews. You don't have to, and hopefully the talk will be good. So I did that for a while, and then and I'm just getting skewered in the fucking papers. I mean, killed. I remember
back when the papers used to write about broadcasting.
Right.
Well, we still do actually. Whenever somebody leaves a station, we write a story.
No, but we used to have
great people.
We used to
really
have opinion writers at the Free Press.
Yeah. That did only the news.
Exactly.
John Smintek.
Smintek.
Exactly.
Sminty.
That was Smintek, but there were also just sports ones when I first got here. Yeah.
Steve Crow, right?
Yes, Steve
Sports
Crow.
on TV.
Cindy, whatever her name was, Cindy Lambert.
Yeah.
Joe LaPointe, who was a particular favorite of mine. But anyway.
He's still doing that, by the way.
Oh, good. So for the Free Press?
No, just for himself
Metro
on Facebook.
Times.
That's right. Boy, big readership when you're just doing it for yourself.
We went from the New York Times to the Metro Times. We're going to have to talk to his agent.
To his own.
Yes, exactly. So I was getting skewered. My wife was pregnant and had gone into premature labor, and she's laying in the hospital room. And I take the paper, and I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting to go to work. And I open the paper, and the headline reads, "Smilovitz has to go, worst thing that ever happened to Detroit." It was an article by Joe LaPointe. And she goes, "Anything new in the paper?" I go, "No, nothing." Just going through the damn thing.
Yeah, but if we need something to wrap the placenta in, I've got it right here.
Whoa. It's a novel idea. I didn't hear that one.
Well, I always heard, so when my wife was pregnant with our first child, I was working in Chicago, and somebody told me, these are the weird things people tell you when you got a baby on the way, like, if the baby comes suddenly, the newspaper is the best thing to wrap it in because it's untouched by human hands, so there's no bacteria. And I'm like, that's what's going to save us. Unexpected births and a handy newspaper, but it turned out that didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
So, but now one of the things with
what about your story?
Well, that was
yeah. So he crushes me in the papers, and then I go. And then I'm reading Sunday. I'm reading the paper, and there's Bob Talbot, and he's taking shots at me too. And I'm like, okay, this shit's gonna stop. I invite him on the show, Bob Talbot.
Oh.
He comes on there, and you would have thought it was a kid in a candy store. I mean, honest to God, like had a great time and everything. I pick up the paper the next day, and he says, "I've had a change of heart." And I go, "Wow, did that work perfectly?" And he was great. I mean, he used to write lovely things about me, but I didn't do a thing different from his appearance there before or after.
Yeah.
It was the same thing.
Usually you had to give Bob some steaks or something to get that kind of good.
Yeah, I
publicity,
agree. But I think makeup and FaceTime was a winner there for him.
How did the thing with Mitch come about? The Sunday night, wasn't it Sundays? I'm trying to remember.
When we used to do the point counterpoint.
Yeah.
I think that was it came off of 60 Minutes when, what was her, I can't remember her name, something, I don't know. Anyway, they used to do a point counterpoint on 60 Minutes. And so we just decided, and it came about because we would go into the studio, sit down, and they go, "What side do you want of the argument?" And he would argue, like, "Okay, I'll take the other side," and then back and forth. So it worked pretty well for a while. Yeah.
Well, when you came to town, it was a major change in culture because we were used to very serious sports guys. Al Ackerman, who was very, legendary, but very abrasive and seemed to always be looking to pick a fight, either because that's the way he was, or maybe that was just, what we'd say his brand was. But you come in a little lighter hearted, a little more like, hey, let's have fun. Sports is fun, right? And I wonder how much of the hostility you encountered was because people were used to this very serious, button down, critical type of sportscast. And you're like, hey, sports is fun, this is.
So the first night I was there, I'm not going to say any names, but they had 4 on-air people at that time besides me and 3 others. And one was a reporter. And so he came to me and I said, "So what are you doing tonight?" And he says, "I'm going to go cover the Tiger game." And I go, "Oh, good. What does that entail?" And he says, "Well, I'll take highlights of the game and I'll put it into a package, and then I'll go down and get some sound bites and I'll put that in and I'll put it together." And I go, "How long does that last?" Because I was getting, at the time, I think 4 minutes, which I still was getting, but today, 5 weeks ago. But anyway, I'm not doing anything today beside this show. I'll need a nap after this. So he says to me, "I'm going to cover the game," and it's about 2.5 minutes. I go, "Wow." I said, "That's a lot for a 4-minute sportscast to take 2 to 2.5 minutes. That's more than half." He goes, Yeah, but it's the game." I go, "Well, let's try something different tonight." And he says, "What's that?" And I said, "How about I'll do the highlights in a separate package, and you just bring the sound back, and I'll introduce that you went and got the sound, and so-and-so has had this reaction from Kirk Gibson," and that was it. And he goes, "Well, no, that's not how we've done it." And I go, "Yeah, I know." And he just looked at me like, "Holy shit, this is the end." So we stopped doing the big 2.5 minute package.
Right.
I would do the highlights because to me, the most important part of a game were the crowd shots. I just wanted to see a guy drop his beer with a ball coming to him.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't care. That made the whole night. That piece of video would make the whole show. So it all changed that night, and it all just kind of started going that way. And, after 4 or 5 months, people bought in quickly. They really did. They didn't. I think people just want to have fun. I think they do. Before I left Washington, a dear friend of mine, Glenn Brenner, who passed away years ago, but he was a huge influence in my life. And he said, if you have a good time doing what you're doing, he worked at the CBS station in town, people will enjoy watching you. And so he was right. I mean, that's exactly how it worked out.
It's also at the end of the newscast where maybe it should be a little lighter.
It should be first, don't you think, on the newscast?
Why not?
They've screwed that up for years.
Open up with a squirrel, yeah.
Absolutely.
Why not? Can you tell a story? I was reading about Albert King, which I think this is such a good story for anybody that wants to break into something. And can you share that story?
Yeah, so when I was out of college, not high school, but out of college, I got a desk job answering phones at 5:30 in the morning, 5:30 to 9:30, making $2.25 an hour at WTOP Radio, which is the WWJ of Washington, D.C. This had a 50,000 watt signal. This was listened to by everyone on Capitol Hill. It was the all news station and everything. And I answered phones. So one day I answered the phone and a guy says, "Hello, this is Keith Moon of The Who." And I say, "Sure, this is Richard Nixon. What do you need?" And this is 1976, 77. And so it was Keith Moon of The Who. I said, well, I don't believe it's you, but give me your phone number. And I call back, and the lady goes, Watergate Hotel, can I help you? This is at 5:45 in the morning. Rings me right up to his room, go right to the whole thing, go up, talk to him, and he goes, I'm going to sue the Washington Post. I know this isn't the Albert King story, but this is a pretty good one.
No,
too.
this is better. Yeah.
Right. So he says, I'm going to sue the Washington Post. If you've read the paper this morning, they said I fell off the stage drunk in Boston, and we had to cancel the show 2 nights ago.
Trends.
Right. So I said, well, not hard for me to believe, but okay, sure. And he says, would you like to interview me? I said, I would, but I'm off at 9:30 this morning. I'll come down to the hotel and bring up and do it fabulous. Wow. I come to, so one of the girls I work with, she says, what are you doing? So I tell her, and she goes, do you want me to go with you? Off we go. We get in the car, we drive down, go to the Watergate, take the car, go upstairs in the suite right there. And there's Keith Moon laying on top of the bed, out like a light, nothing. And the manager comes over. He goes, "Did Keith talk to you this morning?" And I said, "Yeah." All of them with British accents. But anyway, did Keith talk to you this morning? I said, "He did." Well, as you can see, he's indisposed at the moment. I'm thinking to myself, he's passed out. What do you mean indisposed? But anyway, so the manager goes, "So he won't be able to do that today. But are you going to the show tonight?" The show was that night. I said, "I'm not. No." And he said, "Well, you are now." Oh. I said, "Oh," and the girl who I really like too. I said, and he goes, "And she is too." I said, "Oh God, that's great. Just go to the back door. There'll be 2 tickets waiting for you." Okay, and I'll let Keith know you came. Leave. I go to the show. There's 2 tickets on the back door. Wow. Not only are there 2 tickets, but somebody walks us up to the stage. To the back of the stage, there are 2 folding chairs, and we watch The Who from behind Keith Moon.
Oh my God.
And watch them destroy their instruments and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, somebody gave me LSD. This is not how life is supposed to work, but it did that day.
Oh, that is
Did
too
Keith
cool.
Isn't that great? Keith
fell
Moon
off the stage drunk or no?
Don't think so.
finished the
Not
show.
sure. I think I do think the show got canceled in Boston, but I'm not sure the reason.
But in D.C., he made it.
He made it through. Yeah, it was good.
because he had his nap.
We sat behind him. Yeah, that's right. He had his morning nap.
And then you went to work at 5:30 that morning.
Next morning, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Like, you don't think you can go to sleep? My
No,
God,
no.
after something like that.
Yeah.
Could you hear? I would have thought your ears would be
It's
ringing
unbelievable.
after
Well,
the
it
Who.
all goes out. It didn't come
Oh,
back.
okay.
But it was phenomenal to sit there, and I still remember it. I'm like, what am I looking at here?
Did you ever get any sound with him afterwards? Say, hey, while we're here, Keith, what about that lawsuit?
No.
He
no. He gave
in
me a
pre-show
blunt.
mode.
And I got a blunt.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I didn't get a blunt. I did not get a blunt.
Bernie's brought to you here by Detroit Dispensaries. Since Carmen's got the mattresses,
Hey, I'm all in.
may as well put people to sleep.
Call me. Hell, I'll work for bags. What are you talking about? Not money.
The prices have gone up, but the quality, no stems and seeds, which is
Exactly.
how most of us used our Who albums back in college, just to separate those. But anyways, if there's any
And Albert
dispensers
King was actually just really boring, but it really did. It
That was ballsy though.
It was my big break. I was reading the paper that one morning at the radio station, All News, and it said Albert King has decided he's narrowed his choices down to Arizona State and Maryland, and I went, holy shit. And he has moved out of his parents' house because of all the recruiting pressure. So he lives with a friend named, believe it or not, they put the guy's name in the paper, and I still remember it, Winston Kareem of Brooklyn. I go, fuck. So I call information in New York, Winston Kareem. About an hour later, I call him.
can't be a lot of Winston Kareem.
Can't be a lot, but there was one. I call him and I go, "Hey, Winston, how you doing?" He goes, "Hey, man, what's going on?" Yeah. This is Bernie Smilovitz. I'm with we were a CBS affiliate, so I said, "I'm with CBS, and we want to come do a story on Albert King." He goes, "Oh yeah, great. When do you want to come?" I'm like, "Oh fuck, this might just work." So I said, "Next Monday." I had no way of. And nobody knew. I just telling you.
phones.
I was answering phones. I was the lowliest of lowlies in a station. I mean, I was lower than the carpeting, honest to God. So he goes, Monday, 12 noon, how's that? I said, sounds great. I'll see you there. And that was on a Wednesday the previous week. So I said, now I got to figure out how to get there. So I go upstairs. We had the radio station.
And you're in D.C. now.
In D.C.
Yes.
and Channel 9, which was the powerhouse station of Washington at that time. Excuse me, microphone. I went up and I knew only one thing, that the news director there was a huge Maryland fan, loved Maryland basketball. The news director happened to be the guy that brought me here, Jim Snyder. And so I went up and I go to his office. I go, Mr. Snyder? He goes, who are you? I said, Bernie Smilovitz. I work downstairs. I answer phones, but I have some information. About what? Maryland basketball. And suddenly he goes, what about Maryland basketball? And I'm like, well, I got my hook. Here we go. I said, I spoke to Winston Kareem and Albert King and blah, blah, blah. And next Monday, I could interview him. I may not be able to find out where he went to school, where he's going to go to college, but I would be able to talk about recruiting and stuff with him. His friend has told me that. And he goes over, he pushes the button. Hey, Sarah, get me 2 tickets on the shuttle to New York Monday. What time's your interview? I go, noon. He goes, 8 a.m. 8 a.m. I'm on a plane with a camera guy. The guy, he bought the whole story, hook, line, and sinker. I guess it was my chance. Either I'm going to make this work or not. Yeah. We go up, we go there. At 12 noon, my hand to God, the door opens, and here comes Albert King with 8 of his friends around him. We meet, we sit down, we do the interview, talking about this and talking about that, about recruiting. And then I said, we got to go outside and get some walking shots here in Brooklyn. He goes, okay, no problem. So the camera guy, myself, and Albert leave the apartment, go downstairs, walking out front, and I stop him. At that time, there was no internet. There was no cable. There was no way to get any information. There was a thing called the CBS feed, which fed out stories to all the affiliates across the country. So I stop him, and I said, you're not going to announce till 3 days from now, Thursday? He goes, yeah, Thursday at the banquet. I said, because if you tell me now, I'm telling you, I carried a large pair of balls in those days. I really wanted this job. I said, if you tell me now, I will put it on the CBS feed and it'll go nationwide. And he looks at me and he looks at the cameraman and he looks back at me. He goes, I'm going to Maryland. I go, no, not now. I have to ask you the question. Wait, too fast. Let's redo this thing. Sure enough, he's going to Maryland. He's going to go, tells me all the reasons why he loved Lefty Driesell, on and on and on and on. We raced to the airport. It was film at the time. That's how long ago it was.
So you had to develop it.
Race back to the station in Washington, develop it, put it on. So everything works out great. It's on. I go home. I come in the next day. I just go upstairs to see what's going on. And the newsroom stands up and starts applauding. And Jim Snyder hears the noise, comes out of his office, walks across the newsroom. Jim Snyder was like a 65-year-old old rumpled guy, but great. Used to be Cronkite's producer for many years.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. He comes over and hugs me in front of everybody. And 2 weeks later, I was the afternoon drive guy on WTOP radio.
Nice.
Yeah. So
that's enterprise. I don't know how you got from Wednesday to Monday. I would have been thinking this is going to fall apart. There's no way this is going to happen. He's a high school kid. He's going to flake out.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this. I'm Jewish, and I thought that to the nth degree for 24 hours a day for 3 or 4 days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have got on my bike and said I can be there by midnight.
Yeah. Right.
Let's do it.
So that was it. There's your
Plus, Keith
story.
Moon already stood you up. What's Albert King compared to Keith Moon?
Oh, come on, man.
Jeez.
Mark, do you have any more questions for more stories? So he can keep talking.
I was going to say,
this has been great.
Is the sun gone down yet? Have I talked too long?
No, this has been awesome.
Well, let's get some more stories from Bernie on our bonus episode for our Patreon subscribers. For as little as $5 a month, you can support the show.
What's my cut out of that?
Well, we'll give you as much as the weed shop. We'll give you a lid. Do they still do lids? Is that?
I don't have any.
I don't know what that means.
I have 2 kids that are grown.
They'll know.
Crazy.
I have 4 grandkids coming. I'm like, what?
You're more of an edibles guy.
Yeah.
Seems like somebody's talking about something he's familiar with, but go ahead.
Yeah. If they have kids, they know about gummies.
Yeah.
But before we let you go,
yeah,
Bernie,
no, I'm not going anywhere.
I got to ask you. I got to look at Mark first. I got to ask you, what do you make of this Michigan stuff? I mean, this seems somewhat unprecedented, but there are lots of people who say it's no big deal. You've seen the scandals come and go around here.
This is what I'll say to you, and you're the king of the scandal guys. You worked for Kwame. There's no way, knowing Jim Harbaugh for all the years, I was there the day he made the prediction that they were going to beat Ohio State in '86, and Bo went crazy. I was there when he came back. I've been there. Jim Harbaugh did not stand on the sideline next to somebody he did not know. There's no way, not a chance. all of these coaches are so meticulous in preparation and everything that they would not be standing next to a guy who he didn't know. And you've seen video of Stallions on the sideline next to him. No chance. I think he knew everything. I think he had he was able to deny it because I think he passed it out to others, as you just saw. Shawn Moore had erased 52, I think.
Yeah, 52
text messages. Maybe he was just cleaning his phone out.
Yeah.
They delete the messages.
Limited megabytes.
The fact is, he went 2-4, right, in the COVID year or whatever, lost a little bit of money in his contract, and was feeling the pressure. I mean, that's when it started.
I agree with you that he was feeling.
I mean, it's not coincidental, right?
No, I agree with you all that, but
But why lie to NCAA investigators when they're?
You mean for the COVID thing?
Yeah.
No, this is the separate for the recruiting violations. Why?
Yeah,
why say I didn't meet him when they were?
I honestly believe he believed his lie. I mean, he picked up food, met with the kid.
So a little bit like Trump.
Maybe. Well, if that's how you want to put it, I just think he.
Are we getting into Trump now? Because I'm really fired up. Let's go.
Bernie, you're untethered. You don't have to worry about.
I am unplugged. It's Bernie unplugged.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for years you had to maintain your objectivity as a journalist, unless.
Well, let's not go that far.
Cheering for the home team, you got to cheer for them.
I made a promise to myself. I would not. I would like them to win, but it wasn't the end of the world if they won or they lost. It wasn't that big a deal to me. It was more important to find that guy falling in the stands losing his popcorn than it was to me. I mean, I was there to put a product on, and I thought that was the best way to do it. And I would like to see them win because they were great to talk to afterwards, and winning championships is terrific and all of that other stuff.
Did you have a team growing up, though?
Washington Redskins and the Washington Senators. I grew up in Washington. I was born in New York, and my parents were Holocaust survivors, and they moved from Washington. They met on Brighton Beach, which is where Neil Simon, the player, Brighton Beach. Ironically, my kids both live in Brooklyn, and they take their kids to Brighton Beach. So the whole thing is just fucking kismet.
But where did you grew up in the D.C. area?
Yeah, Southeast.
Where?
Southeast Washington, Anacostia.
Oh, in D.C. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I lived in Suitland.
Oh yeah, Suitland was. You were in Maryland though. That's a Maryland guy.
I know, and Camp Springs.
And you were in Prince George's, right?
I was a military.
Oh, you were a military.
Yeah, in Suitland. Yeah.
Kevin Durant was Prince George's.
I used to go out to Landover when they were the.
the Capitol Center.
Yeah.
Well, that's where
watch Elvin Hayes play.
That's where I saw Keith Moon was Capitol Center.
Oh, okay.
That's where. Yeah.
Oh, was it the Capitol Center?
Yeah.
He had a terrible jump shot, Keith Moon.
I thought you meant Shawn.
Oh yeah. No, Shawn's okay. Shawn's
okay.
Shawn's got a little hook. He's dangerous in the paint.
That's good.
He's got a big ass. He moves around
a little bit of
Which is what it says on
fade
Tinder.
Away. No, but Mark, back to you for a second.
Yes.
So you really thought he was believing his own lie? Harbaugh.
When he first talked to the NCAA investigators, I kind of do until they showed him the receipt because the story is, oh, well, that was a hamburger for breakfast. Nobody else does that except me, which is just a weird Harbaugh thing to say.
By the way, it was a cheeseburger with bacon.
That's right, bacon cheeseburger.
Correct.
By the way,
and cereal with Gatorade.
Not only that, the recruits who did it went to several other schools,
different schools, yeah,
and said nobody else did that.
Yeah,
no other staff wanted to meet with them because they were in the dead period and they couldn't do that.
I've maintained
and they were surprised that Michigan was actually sort of breaking the rules.
To me, that's a far worse violation than the Connor Stallions sign stealing allegations. Because I feel most people steal signs one way or the other. Connor did it in a very bizarre.
Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
Bill Belichick did it.
I don't entirely disagree with it because
but you got to adhere to a schedule of when there's dead periods.
That's and what they were saying is, hey, we're going to do what we're going to do. We don't care.
Yeah,
that's the problem with it, right?
I mean, as a fan and
as Mike would say, now they're going to bring him back and have him for Fresno State on opening night and just say "fuck you" to everybody.
Yeah, because it's kind of a big middle finger.
That's what it's exactly what
it's a middle finger to the NCAA because the NCAA is a joke.
Does anybody else see a problem?
And to your own preciousness.
That Michigan fans are now arguing that one violation we had isn't as big a deal as the other violation we had. And the
I don't think any of them are that big.
Well, you remember for years, Michigan took pride in the fact they didn't cheat, they didn't do anything wrong. Well, they made up for time.
Yeah.
Here, I guess, right? I
mean,
I'm
show
not
me
lying.
a school that doesn't
right?
cheat.
Yeah,
the wages of sin
like a Michigan alum.
Where'd he go, Columbus?
That's where I was born.
See? You could smell him a mile away.
That's it. That's it. It's a cow patty.
A Michigan alum, yeah. Whatever it takes, right?
Yeah, I think...
Great year last year.
Was it, though? Was it though? Because out of your little Michigan bubble, if you travel outside and Bernie probably can attest to this. I was in. The game was in Houston, the national championship game, and I was in Austin a couple of days before that with some friends who were not from the Midwest at all. And all they talked about was cheating U of M, and everywhere I went, that's how U of M.
They're
was
just
seen.
haters, Sean.
So the rest of the country thought y'all were cheaters. Was that really fun?
Yeah, that's fine. Because,
I don't believe you
because I
don't
know.
believe you.
Huh?
No, I don't believe you.
Oh,
Did you go to Michigan, Mark?
I did. Yes.
You did. And who was the coach when you were there? Was it Rich Rodriguez there?
Lloyd Carr.
Lloyd
Carr.
Good old Lloyd. I love
I spoke to Lloyd last night.
Love Lloyd.
Lloyd.
Such a great guy.
Just the best.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
And you people ran him out of there.
Ran him out of town.
Oh, I certainly didn't.
And by you people, I mean
Michigan
people with
fans
big
did.
calves.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you meant Appalachian State.
Well, that is true. That probably didn't sit well.
It was already done.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. You know, I know he did get bounced.
Yeah, they weren't happy with him.
No.
And so did
They didn't like all
this
the.
is the same school that
They didn't like all the integrity in the 9-10 win seasons.
That's
you know
correct.
what I mean?
Yeah. Bill Martin, I asked him, why did you hire Rodriguez? He goes, he's going to bring this spread offense to the Big Ten, and we're going to steamroll everyone.
Yep.
When is that going to arrive? Just out of curiosity, what decade?
I sat in a hotel room with him in West Virginia. And he was in a sweatsuit telling me how he was going to come.
This was on a vacation.
Yeah, it was Morgantown, and he was going to come to Ann Arbor and change everything, and how backwards it all was.
That was the problem.
Behind the times.
Yeah.
If there's one thing Ann Arbor doesn't like, it's change.
Yeah, no question.
That's why the whole practice thing came out, because he came in and told the players they couldn't have brunch with their families on Sundays. That's because they had to do some kind of post-game film or whatever, and it was a violation of the rules. That's how that whole thing started, because the families, the mom and dads who were coming to see for the weekends for the home games, they started complaining. Like, wait, we've never done it at Michigan.
Never done it this way.
Bo didn't do it that way. Lloyd didn't do it that way. Even Gary Moeller didn't do it that way. And yeah,
Gary Moeller did it his way. So anyway,
Those brunches had Bloody Marys with Gary.
Hey, come on.
That was a cheap shot.
That was the same thing that killed Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia came here, and the first thing he did is that on Saturdays they used to go, I think from 1 till 7, they would give the team off so they could spend it with their families, because the next they stay in the hotel Saturday night, and then they would go to the game, play in the game on Sunday. And one of the guys told me, one of the big guys on that team told me, he's lost the team. We're done. We don't have a chance with him. And that went on and on for 2.5 years.
he did a lot of little things like that.
He killed him, and he was 30 minutes late for meetings.
He used to be late with us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was terrible. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, we would hear at Fox too that there were situations where, he had never been a head coach before, so he'd have a plan. They'd be like, "And then what next?" He's like, "Well, I got to have more." And like, "Oh shit!" And run back to the office. Like, "Oh, what are we gonna do with this?" He was just not.
Bad.
Not ready.
It was a bad hire.
It's interesting because it wasn't just Patricia, right? It was Quinn, and it wasn't just the team or the reporters. It was that entire building, the whole headquarters in Allen Park, that had this sort of toxic cloud hanging over it, and in the halls. And they did not treat the non-football people well at all.
They didn't.
And we all talk about Brad Holmes as a general manager, the great job he's done, Dan Campbell, but Sheila Hamp.
Yeah.
Is the one that came in and said, you know what? We're not going to change anything unless we broom this negative crap out of these, because we're not all working together. Yep. And that's really where this turnaround started, was her.
It's true, yeah.
Wanting actual laughter.
I spent the last 2 years I was at Channel 4 chasing Sheila to see about doing a sit-down interview. I mean, it went on, not this week, maybe in 2 weeks, maybe. I mean, it was 2 years. And just before I left, I saw her at the opening of the train station, and I saw her, and I go, this week? And she went, and then she walked off.
That was it.
So I'm going to take it as a big no.
And now she blew it.
She did.
Unless she shows up on the Bernie podcast.
Is there a Bernie podcast?
We got Tuesdays open. Yeah, we got an extra chair. Sean's not always.
Yeah, I don't need to be here. You just your replacement. They don't.
Sean
need me.
How
many
can dial in
listeners
from
you got?
Florida.
What kind of numbers you getting on this?
6-7 people.
More with you.
It's more than me. You kidding me?
You're going to listen to the show, right? So we're going to have a spike in our
up to
audience.
8?
Yeah, that's 25% increase. Who gets numbers like that? Our overnights are going to be through the roof. We'll get that Gardner Wright sponsorship before we're done. Carmen, we're coming for you, babe. Also a wonderful
Carmen looked
person.
great on that ad, didn't
she always looks good.
I know, but I was like, good God, she was terrific, blowing those lines out like it's nothing. Here we go, no prompter. It was great.
Well, given our vast audience, I'm reluctant to share this Carmen story. But,
go.
But there was a time when
We'll edit it.
Yeah.
No, we won't.
Well, if Mark.
Oh wait, Mike
if Mark
has a
gets in
story.
there.
Mark?
So
Hit pause button.
they were getting ready to shut down the Detroit fireboat. And one of the there were two captains, and one of them came to me and said, hey, we can't do. It's the most advanced piece of firefighting equipment we have in Detroit. We have nothing else that can reach the top floors of the Renaissance Center or Cobo Hall if there's a catastrophe. So we got to do everything we can to keep it. And it was named after the first black firefighter in Detroit, and there were all kinds of reasons to do it. And I said, okay, I think I can do this story. And he said, I want you to meet one of the other captains. And so I go to this place on East Grand Boulevard, just off of Jefferson. And I meet one of the other captains, and he's shampooing Carmen's hair. And she says, don't tell anybody I come here to get my hair done. I'm like, you're getting your hair, you're like one of the most stunning women in Detroit, one of the most high-profile women in Detroit, probably in our lifetimes. And she's getting her hair done by the fireboat captain in Detroit. But she looked fantastic. I don't
Did he
know
have that big hose? Was he like cleaning it out with the big hose?
Just to get some of the conditioner out.
Yeah,
just to, because sometimes it's kind of clingy. You got to work it in for a minute. That's what Neil Goldstein taught me.
Neil Goldstein. Oh my God. One of the greats. I love Neil Goldstein. He was a news director at Channel 4. He comes in. I never knew him. I never knew anything about him. First day, he goes, come here. Come in my office. I go, okay, go in. Close the door. Closes the door. He says, I don't know shit about sports, so I'm following you. You're doing pretty good. Keep doing it. End of meeting. Like 15 seconds
boss.
and I was out the, great.
That's
Oh
a
my
boss
God.
that
Only guy
that
in the
knows
building
what he doesn't know.
who he probably didn't say, this is how we're going to do it from
Oh
here
yeah,
on out.
no, he was great. He really was.
He was the casting director.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. Oh
But
my God.
he and I had some ups and downs, but we're good friends. We still talk. He supported my city council campaign for what it's worth. And I love Neil,
lot.
even though things didn't work out the way he and I thought
That was a
they
waste of
would
time for him.
When he
Yeah,
brought
it was
me
worth a
over.
lot.
It's only $100. He had that news director money, He was
Everybody
doing
had a
okay.
price, you know what I'm saying?
God, but actually, I'll give you a quick Neil story, and then we'll
Hopefully
thank
quick.
Bernie. But we were doing a story. He had this idea that he wanted the investigative reporting unit to do stories about beefs between neighbors, and one of them was, we live on this lake, and there's somebody has these. They keep feeding the geese, so they keep coming. They keep shitting all over our yard, and these geese are driving me crazy, and they're horrible, and all this other stuff. I'm like, yeah. So Karen Drew is like, okay, I'll take that one. I'm gonna find, and she's having trouble finding neighbors. I said, well, Neil, why don't we just talk to some of your neighbors? They must be amazing. He's like, I've worked my whole career to get $1 million house. I'm not going to piss off all the neighbors. I said, okay, so it's a good story, but not quite good enough to rile up the neighborhood.
Wait, if I remember correctly, wasn't Neil's wife a big shot with ABC Radio?
It was Dick Purton's daughter.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the Fort Knox of radio.
They've since split, but I understand they're still good friends.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
He got divorced?
He told me they split. I don't know. Maybe she took off, but I think it was
Sorry,
legal.
what was her name? No, Joanne.
Not Joanne, but
Poopsie. Was it Poopsie? Poopsie Purton?
maybe that's why she split, because you're calling his wife Poopsie.
I don't know.
He may have said, get out.
I don't know.
But she was a wonderful woman, by the way.
Yeah, she was.
All the Purtons are great.
Yeah.
And I think Dick still has a podcast. For a big star, now Bernie may be taking this title, but for a big star, I don't think I've met a more generous, gracious, kind, or considerate guy than Dick Purton, and he was
I disagree.
the king of Detroit.
I'll disagree. I drove all the way over here to Ferndale. It took me 20 minutes. Well, that's a very generous
like I
move.
said, you may be
Purton's never
taking
done
a
that.
crown. Yeah, Bernie may have bumped Dick off.
Let me say, I brought my car because the bus wasn't coming by here from where I was leaving.
Yeah, no, it's. I think somebody down the block has a white van by the park, but we're going to be doing a story on that. We'll get Kevin Dietz on that one. So more news coming here on ML Soul Detroit. Well, Bernie, thanks for coming in. I mean,
I'm getting the hook. We're out.
No, we're moving to the bonus episode because you got so many more stories.
All right,
we
fire
can't
away.
Go quite yet.
Are we going
but,
there yet, or you have to end this first in a succinct manner, and then you move on to the next thing?
The magic of editing.
Nothing's succinct.
We very gracefully
man
take
who's
this
speaking.
opportunity to thank our sponsors.
Oh, go ahead.
This week's episode is brought to you by Dr. Yaldo. If you want to see better than 20/20 vision, go to our website and hit the link for Dr. Yaldo and Dr. Y will tell you why you don't have to put up with glasses, contacts, or any of those annoying and antiquated visual aids. And if you're looking to see a clearer, brighter future, Luke Nowacki and Pinnacle Wealth Strategies is the man, because maybe you're a big-time city official who can travel on people's dime. Maybe you're a political contributor who gets hooked up with government contracts. Well, good for you, but bad for the rest of us. Now, if you're not among the swells lining your pockets with taxpayers' money, if you're someone who actually works for a living, call financial specialist Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748. We'll discuss strategies to grow your assets from annuities to individual retirement accounts to college savings. Make that call now. You've got kids and kleptocrats to feed. Luke Nowacki, 248-663-4748, because when you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Mosaic Wealth. Inc. member FINRA SIPC. Mosaic Wealth. Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent. Mosaic Wealth. Inc.
And if you're looking for a good time on the east side, or maybe you can get from here to there, check out the Caju Cafe. It is the pride of the east side, where you get great music indoors and out. In the beer garden, there's the garage bar, my favorite spot to quaff a cold beverage, maybe a Hogard, maybe a Grand Armory, something tasty out there. And then inside, the kitchen is open until midnight, Tuesday through Saturday. Great food on Monday, all-you-can-eat mussels. On Wednesday, it's karaoke. On Friday, Revival, a tribute to the Allman Brothers Band, will be playing at the Caju. Saturday, Steve Taylor 3 and 6 and the Sevens. That's one band. 6 and the Sevens are one band. And I understand they ate 9. No, they ate mussels. They enjoyed it there at the Caju. Sunday, Thornetta Davis will be there. And if you've never seen Thornetta in person, you have got to go. And then the Broken Arrow Blues will be performing as well. That's the Caju Cafe, a great place for great music, great eats, great beats. Check it out. There's a link to their website on our website. Again, that's mlsoulofdetroit.com. And we want to thank Come Play Detroit. If you are looking to get in the game, if you're a single player, if you have a group of people, if you have an entire team, they have sports going year-round. Every sport you can think of. Sand volleyball, pickleball. I play softball and volleyball with Come Play Detroit. Great time for a great way to get in the game. ComePlayDetroit.com. If you go and use promo code SOUL, that's SOUL, you will get a discount on your individual registration. So go to ComePlayDetroit.com. That's where I go to get in the game, and maybe I'll see you on the field.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
It's never easy losing a loved one, and it's even harder when the people you turn to take care of them lose them too. That's what a New Jersey woman found out and is suing the funeral home, who said that they buried her father, but it turns out they kept his remains in a basement for many, many years. Debbie Uraga's father, who was a veteran, died on the 16th of May in 1993. He had some health complications, and she frequently visited his gravesite near her home because, it was a good way to remember him on his birthday and Father's Day. The only problem was he wasn't there. Yeah. She assumed he was underground beneath his headstone alongside her deceased mother, brother, and sister. But a man with an organization that gives honorable burial to veterans with unclaimed remains contacted Uraga in June on social media to tell her that her father's remains were still in a box in the basement of the funeral home. How did he rest in peace for 31 years if he's treated like nothing down in the basement? Uraga told CBS News. Well, the John Flager Funeral Home was responsible for burying George Jonas at the Mount Olivet Cemetery in Middleton, New Jersey. Only they didn't. And in response to the allegations they mishandled his remains, they told ABC's Eyewitness News that the arrangements and cremation services were handled with the utmost care. Unfortunately, our files and the family's recollections of what happened over 30 years ago do not agree, it said. Simply stated, the visitation was provided, the cremation occurred, and we have been in custody of Mr. Jonas's cremated remains up until they were turned over to the family at their request. They put the blame on the family, saying that all attempts to get their guidance and their wishes for the final disposition of the remains went unanswered. Well, now they've been answered. We want Daddy in the dirt. And that's why Funeral Home, George Flager. You are a Geek of the Week, and may you rest in peace.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
Before we rekindle our debate over whether there's groove in new wave music, we want to tell you about a groovy way to see downtown, midtown, and Corktown, and that is from the seat of a party bike provided by the Michigan Peddler. 15 people can enjoy 2 hours touring and pedaling through Corktown, midtown, and downtown, stopping for pictures and perhaps a cold beverage or two. The Michigan Peddler offers the longest tours in Detroit, seat back so you're nice and comfy, and the friendliest staff to make your experience one to remember. Book your tour at www.michiganpeddler.com. That's Michigan, PEDALER.com. And as an exclusive to ML Soul of Detroit listeners, you can get $40 off your ride for 15 passenger party bikes. Just enter code MLSOUL at the promo code when you check out, and you'll get $40 off a ride. The Michigan Peddler, that's the way to do it, folks. Well, here's what Joe K has to say about his groove. He says, I want to throw my hat into the groove debate with my nomination for Room 7609. It's Good Times by the band Planet Booty. I had no idea who these guys were when I saw them live a few years ago. I actually went to see a solo musician who was opening for them at this small venue. I've been a fan of the solo musician for 6 years, but never saw him live. More on Planet Booty in just a minute.
Good times come and go. Live just for tonight and for the dance floor. Hey. Bad times, they will pass. All you gotta do tonight is make a stand, yeah. You can't have the good without the bad. It ain't what you want, it's what you have and what you got tonight. Ooh, that's right. You can't have the hot without the cold. Ain't no love without your soul and what you feel inside. What you feel inside.
Let me tell you about myself. Can't hide the fact I'm just an Indiana boy. Just a white boy from the Midwest, that's all. But I feel blessed and I just wanna spread my joy. But life ain't easy, it can be rough. And look at my mom, she sure is tough, and she with me tonight. Oh, I love your mama. So come on, ladies, do your thing. Yeah, your fans respect that space and play nice. Well, you better play nice. You know why? This is the song that you can dance to. Yeah. Yeah, alright, come on. This is the song that you can dance to. Yeah. So come on, clap your hands. Ooh, tonight, don't let those problems bother you.
Good times come and go. Live just for tonight and for the dance floor. Hey.
Come on now.
Bad times, they will pass. All you gotta do tonight is make a stand, yeah.
Get up now. Yeah, you got to get up.
Can't have the good without the bad. It ain't what you want, it's what you have and what you got tonight. Ooh, that's right. You can't have the hot without the cold. Ain't no love without your soul and what you feel inside. What you feel inside. Now there's a reason that the people call it funk. Ain't gotta be happy when you get here, but you're here, so you might as well have fun. I know it's cold outside.
I know it's cold,
but on the dance floor it's is make a stand, y'all. Come on, everybody, now get up. Can't have the good without the bad. It ain't what you want, it's what you have, but what you got tonight. Ooh, that's right. Oh, that's right. You can't have the hot without the cold. Ain't no love without your soul. And what you feel inside, what you feel inside, what you feel inside, and what you feel inside. Those good times. Don't worry about them bad times. Those good times. Don't worry about them bad times. Come on now, good times come and go. Live just for tonight and for the dance floor. Hey, hey. Now bad times they will pass. All you gotta do tonight is make a stand, y'all. Come on, everybody, now get up. Can't have the good without the bad. It ain't what you want, it's what you have, but what you got tonight. Ooh, that's right. Oh, that's right. You can't have the hot without the cold. Ain't no love without your soul. And what you feel inside, what you feel inside, what you feel inside, what you feel inside. About them good times.
Okay, so Joe knows groove. That song had groove. Now, I don't know Planet Booty, and neither did Joe when he went to go see them. He went to go see a solo musician, and he says, sadly, he wasn't that great live since he tours solo, and his songs just didn't translate well live like on his albums. When he was done, I debated even staying for Planet Booty because I just didn't know who they were, but I figured I paid for the ticket, might as well check them out. They absolutely blew me away. One of the most fun acts I've ever seen live. I don't understand why they aren't more popular. For reference, last time they came to Detroit, they're at PJ's Lager House. Now, anybody you can catch at PJ's Lager House, you should, but this feels like a big sound for that room. They're a good mix of funk and rhythm. If you couldn't tell by their name, they celebrate everything related to the booty.
That's probably when they're not bigger.
I think they'd play well here, where it seems like spandex comes in only one size, which is too small. He says it makes for some interesting merchandise, I can imagine. They definitely have a vibrant stage presence with lots of emphasis on body positivity. Unlike the opener I saw, I feel like their live shows are much better than what you hear on the album, but I still think Good Times is a good example of their groove. So, Joe K, absolutely, you weighed in, you made your point, and you scored. Not new wave, you didn't say they were.
It's not new wave at all, but it's got a groove.
Sean doesn't think I know groove, but Joe K, there can be no debate. Joe knows groove. Sean?
Yeah, no.
Joe.
Sorry, that's just a good time. Good Times by Chic, that's groove. But
Joe.
anyway, all right, we're moving on.
Joe, you're my brother. Here's the part where we think...
No, it's a fun band. It's not... It's a good groove for Mike, though. You know what I mean? So,
what does that mean? Simple?
That it's not really a groove. Oh. Yeah, you don't feel it, but but I understand why you think there's groove there. So I know that sounds really fucking elitist and awful. I'm very sorry.
That's what we expect.
But it's a fun sounding name of the band, and that's good.
Joe, you and I will meet Sean in the alley after this show.
Oh, Joe, I'm just kidding. This is all for Mike. That was a fun song. Thank you. That was, yeah. What are we doing next?
That's a performance. Here's where we thank our donors and new members of the Soul Patrol. This week, we welcome Jim to the Soul Patrol. It's really easy to support the show for as little as $5 a month. You can get the show before anybody else. You can watch the show. And if you haven't seen Bernie on TV in a while, why don't you check him out by becoming a member of the Soul Patrol? For $15 a month, you get our bonus episode. We recorded a bonus episode with more great stories from Bernie. It's well worth it, folks. I mean, we could have had him here forever, but we had to cut it off, and we will bring him back another time. If you kick in $25, you get some cool swag. At $60, no one's ever hit that level before. You will get some wearables, some distinctive, unique to ML Soul Detroit wearables, some branded stuff. So we got some good shit. Come and get it, folks. Come and get you some. So thanks, Jim, for joining the Soul Patrol. We hope you will join us as well. And we have some feedback. You know, we love to hear from our audience. I have 2 pieces of feedback that I've distributed to my colleagues to share with us what you are thinking Mark, why don't you start us off?
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah,
All right.
because Shawn looks like he's still recovering from the really nasty things he said about Joe and Planet Booty. Really unmitigated attack.
I love Joe. Thank you, Joe.
So it's from Jim, and Jim just says, "Damn, ML, you really made me miss the Kaju," with a heart emoji. I don't know, what does he mean? What am I missing here?
Well, we were talking about the fun times at the Kaju last week. I was there for the Smiths United. We promoted the show on this show, and a lot of people came out to see the Smiths and to say hi to me. My only complaint about that show was I hurt my knee on my way home because some drunk idiot knocked me off my bike.
Was it Jim?
Are you okay? Are you okay now?
That was me.
Are you okay now?
I was okay. I was well enough to lead the Free Press softball team in Come Play Detroit's Wednesday night Belle Isle League, where I not only racked up some strikeouts on the mound, but hit a home run and scored a run. So
good. I'm glad you're doing okay.
So, Come Play Detroit. Great time.
Yeah.
Shawn, what do you got there on your little sheet there?
This is from. Who's this from? I don't know.
It's from a woman.
Are you okay?
Yeah. It's from Hannah.
It's from Hannah.
Is Shawn okay? I'm worried about him.
You're not feeling great, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
The ending when you, Shawn, and Mark were talking about the potato and whatever was so freaking hysterical. Freaking hysterical.
If you missed it 2 episodes ago, Shawn told us about a roommate who had what I will only call a tuber fixation.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about J.D.
Vance and couches.
Couch.
And what he didn't do to a couch.
And Shawn just goes, "You should use a potato." Everyone was like, "Huh?" And then you explain the story of a roommate of yours.
Yeah. P.S. I undersold Vance's hometown of Middleton, Ohio. It currently is a few $1 million house. Listings on Zillow. So Southfield and Waterford might be better comparables in the area. Towns, which were nicer in the 60s and 70s, but still have some nice areas. Obviously not total disaster zones. JD's older sister still lives in Middleton with her husband and 3 kids, and she has a degree from Miami, Ohio. I really hate bootstrap frauds who exaggerate coming from the bottom. Hannah, that's pretty frustrating.
Hannah was not a big fan of J.D. Vance, if you remember from her feedback from a couple weeks ago, but she does love a good story about the potato bar.
Thank you, Hannah.
The potato singles bar, I would imagine.
Okay, no, that's enough.
It's a good place to go to find love.
Thank you, Hannah.
Okay, well, we love to hear from you, and we appreciate if you would write us at mlsoulofdetroit.
So proud of yourself, Shawn.
At gmail.com. That's mlsoulofdetroit at gmail.com. Please support our sponsors. You can find links to their websites on our website. That's mlsoulofdetroit.com. And when you go, please let them that you know about them because you listen to the show. We're going to get Shawn on some heavy-duty meds or maybe just some tater tots for a little, little side piece there. Sort of a Napoleon Dynamite date night.
He's not paying attention.
No, he's out. He's already gone. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. And they're gone. Mark, we know we got to vacate because the big show is coming down any minute. Thanks for moving the variable resistors, I think they're called. Some radio stuff. And we had some special guests here, Bernie Smilovitz and some observers who are going to put out their own podcast, just so we need more competition. But we appreciate you listening to the show, sharing the show, liking the show, and just coming back next week. So until next week, who knows who'll be here? Hopefully it'll be somebody as dynamic as Bernie, but you never know. It could be someone as dynamic as
Shawn.
So until then, we turn to our friend Cyrus to take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Weekend at Bernie's.
Are we doing it again?
Tuesday? Oh, absolutely. You know we are.
Great. We'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, ladies. We'll see you later. God, is this great or what?